Good morning, everyone. How's it going in a new year? Welcome to our first meeting of the year. Can you believe it's 2017? I just remember when it was a few years ago, we were talking about the big rollover to 2000. It seemed like 17 years ago. It's amazing that time flies this much when we're having fun out here. So we'll get started. We have our normal schedule, but we have a meeting. Our presentation will be on what's new at the library. So what's new in EY on the library from Huntley Library will be the guest speaker. Our budget has changed a little bit. We got our new lab computers bought. They're not installed completely yet, but they're took some money out of our treasury, and that's where we stand now. The food pantry for 2016, we gave $2,026 to Grafton Food Pantry for that year, and I want to thank you. But it's a miracle, really. In the last 8 years, 10 years we gave, it's always come out to be $2,100 range. 28, 48, 56. It always comes out the same. So maybe this year we can take an extra 50 cents and make it go up a little bit. In the last it's within $100 every year of 2,100. So it's very good, but it seems like it's slowing down a little. So if we could pick that up, it would be helpful to them, and I think all of us would be appreciated if we gave a little bit more. While our membership is moving up a little bit, not a big month, December. This is just a reminder that we're supposed to repair computers for members of the club, not your kids, not your relatives, not the neighbors, but just yours. So we appreciate if you keep that in mind. We know there sometimes will be a slight problem with that. We'll go along with it. Slight problems. And if you got any information for subjects at meetings or anything, see myself or Dave, our vice president, and tell us about it so we can get it integrated into the programs that we have. We also need a approval for deep freeze on our new computers. With a lot of things will depend on what the final price is, but they said they'll negotiate. But we're hoping to get it a little lower than this, but this would be a maximum amount we would request approval. So if we have somebody give a motion, a discussion. Yeah. What's your name? Arvind. Edmund? Arvind. Okay. And that's any discussion on this issue?
What is it?
This is a program that will prevent the computers from getting any viruses or anything, any changes you make when you're in the lab to the computers. When they turn off, they go back to a factory state that we have set for. Not like yours at home that always remembers what you did. This will, when it reboots, it will go back to a known state that we have it set for. And it will make it a lot less problems. Yeah, George.
Yeah, this is a program we've used in the past. This is upgrading to this particular software for Windows 10.
Yeah, it's a program we used in the past, and Now they have it available for 10, and they made some improvements to it besides that. And our old license is expired.
Is this a forever program, or is it a?
No, the
renewable?
new program is not a forever, it's a license for a year.
Oh, for a year.
Also, you might want to mention that Microsoft is using it.
Yeah, Microsoft at the store over in Schaumburg, they use deep freeze on all their computers they have out in the showroom. So they all go back to the factory spec the way they have them set up when they turn them off when you reboot. So this is a program that is very well known in the industry. A lot of big companies use it, and it looks like it'd be very good. So any other questions? Yeah.
What does it cost for one?
$70 about, but they're talking about discounts, and we're in the process of negotiation. We'll get it less than that. Most likely, I imagine it'll be $55 or $60 a copy. Yeah.
It's an annual license fee.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a license fee type. Everybody's moving to this type of situation. We might get it less. You know, they told me that they'll give some consideration to price reduction for our type of group, based on you know, how well you try, I guess, to them. So we'll try hard. So any other questions on this issue? Anybody give it a second? George, okay, a second. So with that, we'll ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against it say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, so we'll consider this as a passed issue. The newsletter is, everybody should be getting it. It might be a little bit late. You might not get it this first period of time if you're new, if you just subscribe, because of the membership change of databases. It might slip through the cracks. But we'll get this thing solved, and you should be getting it next month. And if it doesn't get it next month, you should get, if you don't get this, you get Deanna's email blast every Friday. So if you don't get those two, you know, you can come in and talk to us, but we can't do nothing. Best thing to do is talk to the staff here, talk to the staff at the lodge, and give them the information. If you miss the blast and ours, that means something is on your email setup isn't quite right. You don't have the right name supplied to the association. We pick up the same name they use, and we send that to a company they call, and they send out that blast to everybody. So when you don't get it, that is usually a problem that your association doesn't have your exact email address correct. So be sure you come in to the lodge here and report your email address, or check on it. Well, right now I would say best thing is to come in here and get it correctly at the location, because they're putting in a new system, and between the new and the old, you know, it gets a little confusing. Okay, Windows 10 upgrades and problems we've had. I just want to talk to the audience again. This sounds repetitive, but we've had a lot of people we see that come into the lab that their computer has been screwed up. And how it got screwed up? It was because you got a call from somebody, or you got a message on your screen that said, Microsoft partner, we want to fix your computer. You have a problem. And it has a phone number to call. And you call it. That's the big mistake. Microsoft will never send an email message like that with their name on it, or even if it has the President of the United States on there. It doesn't make no difference. It's a scam. So when you get one of those, the best and safest thing you can do is press the power button and hold it down for 10 seconds until your computer turns off. Then immediately after the 10 seconds, you'll see the computer go down. If there's lights on the front of it, the lights should go out. And you just tap the power button again, it'll come back up. It might say you shut down improperly. It might take a little longer to boot than it did when you didn't, when you shut down properly. But when it comes up, it might come up and say, if it goes into your web browser or Edge browser, it will have a little bar across the top a lot of times. It says, you want to go back to where you were before you shut down improperly. Don't you say, no, I don't want to go back there. And then it should be okay. But be sure that you turn off the computer by holding the power key down for 15 seconds. Because don't touch the red X in the corner of the screen, because a lot of those are reprogrammed to put that program into your computer or do some other damage. How we get those, you cannot really say. They just pop up occasionally. And they're not destructive in themselves. That's why they get past your security. They're waiting for you to do something. They are not a program that would cause any harm to the computer by itself. The problem is we get a lot of computer operators that read it, and they say, oh, wow, yeah, I'll call them and find out. And then they will ask, for $50, $100, $200, $300, $400. Maybe the first time 200, and then you call back a little later. They know you were a sucker for the first 50, or 100, or 200. Then they'll put you on the list, and you'll get another call, and you'll get another one of these things, and it just can go on and on. So please tell your friends never to click on those things. And the best solution is turn off the computer by holding that button down for 10 seconds. You just turn it off, and you'll force it off. So everything will go away, including that goofy page. That is important, because when you give one of those guys, they're usually out of the country, so the law enforcement can't do anything about it, really, and it's a low priority. Besides, it's just one thing that you'll have to learn to do yourself. I bet we had 20 of them in the last 6 months that came in the lab that gave the information. And it's the very well laid out page. It usually looks very official, but it isn't. So that's the only thing we can do is turn off the power and reset, and that's it. You won't have any problems. If you call them, chances are if you hang up, your computer's locked up. So they'll also tell you to, at that time, punch in a code number and go to this page on your browser. And when you do that, you gave the person permission to go into your computer and do anything he wants to do, including copying any files, changing any address lines or anything. So with that, it seems like it's a problem, and it's only a problem because there's so many Windows 10 is maybe a large audience that says Windows 10 has found this problem with your computer. There's nothing wrong with your computer. It's just a joke. Yeah, George.
Frank, it's important though that if you are in the middle of downloading a legitimate update from Microsoft, do not force
Yeah.
close your windows.
Yeah, and a lot of times, if you never got a warning like that, and your computer seems to be locked, it might be a big upgrade, a big upgrade coming through. Like, last month I asked how many people had the new edition of Windows, the anniversary edition, and they moved when you turn it off, the bar moved over a little bit, or it pops up. And when you have that new edition, how many of you had a time frame when your computer was down for 4 hours? Raise your hand. How many had it down for maybe an hour? Okay. So you could, if you turned it off at the wrong time during that hour, that could really screw up the computer. So if you know your computer is doing an upgrade, and it said an upgrade on the screen, and then all of a sudden the screen went blank, and you came back and said, oh, I'll turn it off. That's bad, because it was in a cycle of re-updating. I would imagine the Windows will continue to make some major changes to the operating system on Windows 10 this year. I imagine in March or April, they'll have another big file like they did with the anniversary edition. And that was 3 gigabytes of information that was downloaded to your computer. The downloading goes fairly, it can go in small increments. So it'll do it. It'll get part of it, and then you turn the computer off, and it really won't make too much problems with the download. But when it goes to install that download, it's checked it all, and it says it's right, and it's going to install it. And that's when you want to be sure you leave the computer on and you don't turn it off. So, anybody has any questions? Yeah.
I had a call one morning at 7:45 in the morning. My computer was off. They're trying to tell me that somebody's trying to.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those scams. Some of them will just stick with the computers. There's also ones that call you and say, we're from Microsoft and we know your computer is having a problem, and we want to get it repaired. Those are just the same thing. Click, hang up the phone. No one will call you. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, Frank, is this happens to Apple products too.
Yes.
And before you call that number on the screen, you call me.
Yeah.
No, really.
Yes, that's true.
You can donate money if you want, but no, it's the same thing. I just had a woman the other day with a Macintosh computer, and she called the number, and he said, here's a PIN number, send $99 to him. Basically, he wasn't in the computer. He never got in the computer. But do not call the number that's nothing but trouble.
Yeah, it's available for Microsoft too. They'll do the same thing too. They don't know the difference if you have a Microsoft or an Apple. Yeah, question back there.
Yeah, I was, not a question, I was going to say the same thing. Apple, I got one where they actually had like a siren, a big sound.
Yeah,
Call it nothing.
that's right. We've all seen a screen like that. Almost everybody who's at any time on a computer has seen that screen where it says, "Warning, warning. Your computer has 89 infections. Call this number." And they usually have a Microsoft logo on there that says partner and stuff like that. So, yeah, Apple will do it. Yeah, the Apples are not. It's the same scam. They don't care what computer you got. They just want to get your money. So with that is enough on that subject. So just a reminder, tell the folks that you know that have computers that haven't been here, because we're seeing a lot of it, and all of it requires a lot of it requires a reset of Windows to get it, and it takes time. Okay, enough of that. Training.
Well, good morning. Well, Frank talked about all that stuff he's doing. I thought he must be experienced. He went through that step by step, and I wondered, did you get your computer fixed, Frank? No. Oh, I didn't think so. But here's another thing along with that idea. Please back up your documents. I can't tell you how many times people come in. You got a problem, like there, and we have to redo something. Say, well, you back up your documents. You don't even have to get an answer. It's like, no. Already they have not backed up their documents. At least once a month, And if you have stuff that you don't think is important, say, well, you want to lose your pictures? Well, I only got a few. Well, do you want any of them? Well, yeah. Well, you need to back them up. Because we can't do anything most of the time unless you do back up. And if you don't know how to do it, come in the lab and we'll help you. Okay, on the training, one thing is happening. We're getting less and less classes, and the reason for that is our instructors they're getting hip replacements, and they're getting tired. They say, well, I just did 2 last month. So once again, I'm appealing. I know there's people out there that are smarter than a lot of us, and you can put a class. It's not hard. I can guarantee it's not hard. I even put one on. I thought, try it, and it really isn't hard. So if you got any idea that maybe you have something that you can help some of the other members, with 1,800 members, we got 8 people that are instructing. That's not a very good average. There's got to be something that you're proficient on that we can put a class on. And if we only get 2 or 3 people, we'll do it again. But we had 29 to the Windows 10 class and 25 to the Google Photos class. So we're starting to get a number of people, but we do really need some more instructors, because with the 5 classes in January, we've already had 2, the Windows 10 and the Google, but we got one coming up next week, using the computer club equipment to transfer slides and photos. That's a really interesting thing. We can run about 40 pictures a minute to copy them. You can put it on a disk, you can put it on a jump drive, and Bruce is going to show you how to do that. Slides take a little longer. It takes about a minute a slide, but on pictures, it's really fantastic. Then we're going to have a program on PowerPoint. You might say, well, that's mostly for business. It really isn't. You can set up a nice PowerPoint program with your photos, and run through and put different titles on them. So George is going to show you how to do that. And then if you got a Kindle tablet, he's going to have a program on a class on Kindle tablets. And I know he knows it because he's got 2 or 3 of them. So he ought to be able to tell you how to use a Kindle tablet. One thing I'm going to add on there is a class on Windows 10. It's a basic class, and it's going to be on the 3rd of February. That's the Friday before our next meeting. So if you don't happen to read your email, how many people was here last week when we didn't have a meeting? Oh, you're probably embarrassed to reach. That was on our website, and we sent out 4 reminders that there's no class. And I heard that about 15 people showed up for the class. I mean, for the meeting. But really, the best thing to do is buy a computer and read your email, and then you'll know when we're going to have our classes and stuff. So we only got 2 classes in February. So once again, if you're interested and willing to try to teach a class, contact me or tell somebody in the lab, and they'll get the information to me, and we'll talk about it and see if we can't get that fixed up. Because we really do need to have more training, and we're looking at some other options too that we may talk about in the next couple of months. So thank you very much, and keep coming to the classes.
Thanks, Ralph. Okay, we got a board meeting coming up. This is the annual board meeting will be the January 25th at 6 p.m. It's in this room. It's one that is the major meeting is required. We have 10% of the people here, so we encourage you to come. And there'll be a discussion by all the committees to tell you what they're doing. So you get a little insight of what is being done here. This is a major operation to run. If you haven't been to any board meetings, I recommend that you do. At least occasionally go and see how this other volunteers, everybody is a volunteer in the board. It makes them feel like you're interested. A lot of times they get the feeling that I just do my job and nobody cares. Well, we all care, and as long as the Now, if they would raise the assessment like $20, you'd all be here. So let's come out and thank them mentally that they didn't. And show up to the board meeting that night. It might be, they're gonna have some prizes even this time. Door prizes. Some of them are worth $100. Yeah. So that's the next big thing. We also have the new registration cards. How many got the new cards? Oh, lots of you. How many have a bad picture on that card? How many have a picture that's squished? Okay, the squished people can go back and get a new one. Be sure you do. And if it's a little picture and the head is the size of a 1/4 inch, bring that back to them and get a picture made with your head, because it's supposed to be an ID card, not a picture with your whole body in it, or almost. So the pictures should be very good, should be a good identification card. It should show your face. So if you got one where, and I know they did in the beginning, had some camera problems, bring those cards back. And I say, anytime they're open over there, they'll take a new. And a lot of times they don't need to take a new picture. They just need to print the card with the correct picture they have stored in their file. So be sure you get a new one if it's got your head has been squished. Okay, with that, we got a presentation from Huntley Library. Is going to give us a feel of what the library has done in the last year or so on improvements on electronic media that they have available. They do have a lot of stuff. So, Pamela, you want to come and tell us?
Is this working?
Yes.
It is. All right, excellent. I'm just taking a minute to figure out how this all works. Very easily. Okay. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to come out and speak to your group. I was here a few years ago talking to you about ebooks back when ebooks were getting popular, so I'm really thrilled to be back. Frank already said, my name is Pam. I'm from the Huntley Library. I'm a reference librarian there. So you'll usually find me at the information desk answering questions for patrons. I also spend a lot of time helping patrons with our electronic resources, so I know some of you very well from helping you out with stuff. And I'm accompanied today by my colleague Laura Jones, who is at a table in the back. She is a member of our circulation staff, and she's here so that once I'm done, if you need to sign up for a library card, she can help you out with that. Or if you need to renew your library card, she can take care of that as well. There's a date on the back of your library card that tells you when it expires, and if the date is close, then that would mean you would want to renew. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start by telling you about 3 resources that are relatively new to the library. So we have Consumer Reports, lynda.com, and Hoopla. And once I'm done with those, I'm going to cover updates to resources that we've had for a very long time now. So those would be My Media Mall, Regal, Mango, and Zinio. So I'm going to start at the library website, which probably a lot of you know is huntleylibrary.org. We have a menu that runs across the top that says library programs, online resources, apps, get help. For today, we're concerned with the link to online resources. And if you're at a computer and you hover over it with your mouse, you'll get this drop-down menu. But we don't really need to concern ourselves with the drop-down menu right now. We would just click on online resources and it will take you to the appropriate page where you can see all of the electronic resources that we offer. There is a handout next to Laura, so when we're done here today, you can grab a handout. You'll see everything we have to offer. All of the resources that I'm talking about today are listed in that handout as well. So this is our online resources page. There are links at the top which break out the resources into categories, so you could jump down to what you're looking for. But if you're not sure what the resource would be categorized as, then you can just keep scrolling down the page and you'll run into everything. So Consumer Reports, I can tell you right now, is listed under Product Testing and Ratings. So you could click on that and it would jump you to the Consumer Reports link. Okay, so I'll start with Consumer Reports. A lot of you probably know that at the library, we keep print copies at our information desk, and we keep about 4 years' worth. So if you come into the information desk and talk to us, we'll usually hand you the print edition that's covering what you're looking for. But the magazine doesn't cover everything. So one example of that would be furnaces. If we look in the index of the print issues, they don't even list it. And that is because for some things, Consumer Reports doesn't provide a ratings list. They say that there are too many factors to take into consideration. So instead, they provide a buying guide or a brand reliability listing instead of providing definitive ratings for furnace models. For the furnaces, they say that the size of your house is such a big consideration that they don't want to get into trying to rate different models. So to get to that buying guide for a furnace, you actually have to have access to the online version. So this is why we were really excited to finally get this for our patrons. And now we can, if we can't find it in the print edition, we'll go over to the computer, we'll look it up online. But now from home, you can also look for things online. And the other benefit to having access to the online edition is that they provide timelier updates to products. So I was looking for fitness trackers recently because I keep thinking I'm going to update my Fitbit and then I really will start walking, even though I know it doesn't work that way. The last time they covered fitness trackers was back in February of last year, but Fitbit released new trackers in November, and when I went to the online version, they had already tested them and they were including them in the ratings. So if you look at the print edition and you think, wow, that information is a little old, you could go to the online and see if they've updated it there. So this is just a screenshot of what you'll see on your computer when you go to the home page. On that first page, they feature a lot of different things. So this is always changing, and they'll have different featured products, different featured articles. I like to come here and just browse and see what it is they're rating or what they've written about. But if you are looking for something very specific, they have a search box at the top, so you just type in what you're looking for. That search box tends to disappear once you start browsing the website, but the magnifying glass is always up there. So you click on the magnifying glass and your search box will open up again. Or you could choose to browse all the different sorts of things that they cover. So there is a link to product reviews in the upper left-hand corner. And when I clicked on that, it opens up this menu and I see all the different sorts of things that they cover. And I decided that I would click on laptops to see what sort of ratings they have for that. And when I click on laptops, they actually open up the computer page so that you can see the buying guide, all the different things you should take into consideration when you're looking for a computer. So they'll have the overview, the ratings and reliability, the recommended computers, the buying guide. But then in the little box that says Find Ratings, I could just click straight through to laptop computers and not worry about looking at anything else. And I also like that underneath that Find Ratings box, it's kind of off of my screen, but they've put what's behind our computer ratings. They will tell you what factors they are testing and what they are looking at and how they come to all those ratings. So I think that's just neat that they tell you what they're looking for when they're doing all of this. And one last thing I'll point out, if you look all the way to the right of the screen, there's actually a little ad encouraging you to sign up for your own personal subscription to Consumer Reports Online. You can ignore that. We don't want you to have to pay for it because we're paying for it on your behalf. The trade-off to being able to offer access to this is that they will put little ads for our patrons just to see if they can get some personal subscribers out of it. That's it for Consumer Reports. I'll move on to lynda.com. So lynda.com is an online video learning platform. I have heard from some of you that you've already heard about this at other groups in Sun City, so that's excellent. The word is getting out. they cover all sorts of things. So they have business classes, music classes, they have computer and software classes. I was searching lynda.com and I found training videos for the Microsoft Office products. They have training videos for Windows, for Mac OS, for iPad and iPhone, for the Android products. I will warn you that when you go to sign into lynda.com from home or at the library, the sign-in is the same. It asks you for your library card number, but it's also going to ask you for a library card PIN. And that PIN is your online catalog password. So for any of you who don't know, the online catalog is where you search for physical items that we have at the library. It's where you can check to see what you have checked out, when the due date is, what you have on hold. And everyone starts out with the same password, which is patron. So if you don't think you've ever used the online catalog or what I just described doesn't sound familiar to you, just try that password, see what happens. If you can't get into lynda.com, call the information desk. We can always reset the password back to patron and get you in without you having to come to the library. So I signed myself into the mylynda.com account. And when I do that, it opens up what I like to call the dashboard. So I have several things I can look at on this page. Over on the left-hand side, lynda.com will keep track of what I am currently watching. So at the moment, I decided to watch a Windows 10 video. I also decided to watch the ukulele class because one of these days I am going to learn how to play my ukulele. And I also have happiness tips up there because we can all use happiness tips. Or I could just browse for something new. So off to the right, they've put together what they call learning paths. And these are in-depth things you can do. So a learning path groups together a bunch of courses so that you're devoting a lot of hours to a topic. And at the end, you can probably call yourself a specialist in that topic. I have not yet signed up to do a learning path because some of them are over 30, 40 hours long. I saw one at 72, and I did not want to commit to that much time. So I've been ignoring those, but if I were to click on weekly series, they give me a different listing of courses. And the weekly series are courses where the instructor posts a new video every single week. You don't have to watch the old ones because they're not linear, so they're not dependent. What you're watching now isn't dependent on what came before. And I tend to just keep checking on the weekly courses to see did the instructor post something that I really want to watch or learn. So I have one called productivity pointers because I keep thinking I'm going to pick up some tips to do stuff, but then I forget to look at it, so I never do. The happiness tips one is another weekly one. So the instructor has been posting all sorts of different things, from how to meditate in 5 minutes to how to actually get up and exercise and have the motivation to do that. And then in the middle, it kind of got cut off on my screenshot. Lynda.com gives you one more way to browse. So it says new, popular, recommended, and popular at your organization. I like to click on the new ones because they post new courses every few days, I think. And that's where I saw that they had that ukulele class, and I thought, I better save that right away. They'll show popular ones, and the first popular one, where it's just the word and nothing else, I think that tends to be popular across the nation, so you'll see all sorts of things pop up. They'll make recommendations. Those recommendations are based on what I have already watched and what I've added to my playlists, and I'll get back to playlists in a minute. And then they have popular at your organization, so you can see what is popular with our Huntley patrons. And at the moment, what is popping up to the top of that list is the Practicing Photographer course. So you could do what all of the other patrons are doing and put some time into that one. And one last thing on this screenshot, you'll see that the photographer course has a thumbs down and a plus sign next to it. Thumbs down doesn't mean that it's a bad course. It's just, if you click on that, you're indicating that you're not interested in this sort of course. So once I've marked it, lynda.com will stop making that sort of suggestion for me. I haven't actually put a thumbs down for anything because I want lynda.com to show me all sorts of things. And then the plus sign is to add it to your playlist. So if I'm not ready to watch it right now, a lot of times I'll add classes to my playlist just so I can go back to the playlist and remember that I was going to devote some time to all sorts of things. And we still have more ways for you to browse. Up at the top, there is a link that says library, so that is the lynda.com library. And when I click on that, it opens up this black menu. You have broad categories on the left, and when you hover over a category over to the right, it will show you the sorts of classes in that category. So you could click on any of this and pull up videos that pertain to those classes. Or we always have the search box at the top. If you know exactly what it is you want to learn, just type it in up at the top. I decided to type in Windows 10 since we get a lot of questions about that. So I put in Windows 10 at the top, and lynda.com came back with over 5,000 results. So they'll cover basic stuff all the way to more technical stuff. So here, my top course is Networking Fundamentals, and I have to admit that Networking Fundamentals is too advanced for me. So on the left-hand side, we have some filters, and I have found that clicking on a filter for skill level is helpful. And it has a beginner filter, but I think the appropriate for all filter might actually a little bit better in trying to pinpoint things when you are first starting out with a course or a topic and you maybe need to learn very basic things. So I decided to click on that to narrow down my list a bit. And now I'm down to just about 1,000, so that's improvement. But now the top course is what I was thinking of when I was looking for a Windows 10 class. I pulled up essential training, which should have the basics instead of some of the more technical Windows 10 things. I went ahead and clicked on the course, and once I do that, the introductory video pops up, so I could just hit play and start the course right away. Or on the left-hand side, lynda.com will show you the different parts the course is broken up into. So each course is made up of several shorter videos. Some maybe 5-6 minutes long, maybe 10 minutes long. No one video is ever a very long time. So I don't have to watch them sequentially. I could skip around. So if I think the videos in the getting started part are maybe too basic, I can keep scrolling down and see what the videos are like in parts 2, parts 3. I could go all the way to the end if I want and pick a better starting point. The last thing I'll point out for lynda.com is that once I sign in, my name appears in the upper right-hand corner. So when I click on my name, I pull up this menu, and you have a lot of options, but the only one I want to focus on today is the one that says Playlists, because that's where I'm saving a lot of classes to. So when I click on Playlists, my second screenshot will show what that looks like. I only have 2 playlists because I'm not terribly worried about trying to organize everything. But my main playlist appears, and it shows that I have 23 courses saved. I've got about 38 hours of content in there. I'm never going to get to it all, but that's okay. And then there is the top of my list, so you can see the courses I've added there. I can edit the playlist, so I can go in, and when I edit something, I can remove courses from the list. I've actually narrowed the list down quite a bit. I had a lot more in there until I decided that I'd better start deleting stuff. You can also create a new playlist, and once you do that, it'll ask you to put in a name. And I did create just one other playlist. I've got one up there that says Weekly Series, and I created that playlist to add my courses where it is a weekly series, because these are the ones where the instructor posts a new class each week, and I wanted a way to be able to get to it, to get to all the classes easily. So when Monday comes, I just go to my playlist, I open it up, I see what the new classes are. Okay, so that's it for Lynda. I'm moving right along. On to Hoopla. Oh, yes,
wonder, if people realize they bring up lynda.com at home, there's a fee for that monthly. So, and someone else was concerned whether Linda shows the Apple products. And yes, she does, but there is a fee, so that's why you need to go to the library if you want to get these classes for free.
Correct, yes, thank you for bringing that up. So for you not to have to pay for a personal subscription to lynda.com, you have to make sure you go in through the library website. So that means you're going to huntleylibrary.org, you're going to our online resources page. We have a link to lynda.com, and once you click on that, because you came in through the library, it's only going to ask for your library card number and the library card PIN. And at that point, it'll let you in, but you shouldn't have to pay. So if you are seeing anything that says, pay for personal access or you don't have access, give us a call while you're right in front of your computer, because maybe we can talk you through it to get you to where you need to be to get in for the library access. Yes?
I do things on the Hampshire library. Do they have these connections too?
Okay, thank you for bringing that up too. I was going to cover it at the end, but I'll cover it now. I see that everybody got the handout that we brought. So I'll just mention that everything in the handout is not necessarily offered by the Hampshire Library. But everything that I am covering in the presentation today, the Ella Johnson, which is the Hampshire Library, Ella Johnson does offer it. So Ella Johnson just purchased access to lynda.com. They didn't have it before, but now they do. They've got consumer reports now too. I was jumping onto Hoopla. Whoops, I'm going backwards. They've got Hoopla now as well, and the other 4 things I'll cover, they've got access to. Okay, so Hoopla. All of the resources that I'm going to talk about now have an app associated with them. So you can either access them from our website, or you could choose to download the app and just start right there on a tablet or a smartphone. Hoopla provides access to ebooks, e-audio, comics, music, and movies. We added this particular resource to our library offerings because the titles in Hoopla are available all the time. You never have to place a hold and wait for anything. But this does mean that you are limited to how many things you can check out in 1 month. So that limit is 5 checkouts. So if I use up all 5 of my checkouts today, I can't check out anything else for the rest of the month. On February 1st, that resets itself, and then I can check out another 5 titles. You'll want to note that on a computer, if you are accessing Hoopla and you check something out and you open it to read it or listen to it or watch it, it's streaming the content, so you need an active internet connection to be able to read or listen on your computer. But if you're using the app on a phone or a tablet, in the app you can download the titles that you check out. And when you first sign up for Hoopla, you will be asked to pick your home library. So you pick Huntley if you're a Huntley patron, pick Ella Johnson if you're a Hampshire patron, and then it'll ask you for the card number, and then you create an account with an email address and a password. And then in the future, you just keep signing in with the email address and the password. So this is what Hoopla looks like on a computer. And you can browse the Hoopla collection on a computer without having to sign in. There's a browse link at the top, and when you click on that, it will show you all of the different formats available. So we've got audio, movies, music, comics, ebooks, television. And in the second lower screenshot, I signed myself in. And once I do that, it's showing how many checkouts I have left. So I used 1 up, and I've only got 4. But if I click on my Hoopla, which is kind of hard to see, it will show me the title that I have currently borrowed. It will show anything that I have marked as a favorite. It will also show me my history. So things that I've checked out in the past will show up. I'm not certain for how long they show up. I don't think they stay there forever. But sometimes that's helpful if your time ran out on something and you want to check it out again. you just go to your history, click on it, and borrow it again. And the other thing I'll mention is that Hoopla is not a static collection. Hoopla says they add new content daily. But unfortunately, they also remove content because all of that depends on the deals they have reached with the publishers and the distributors. So you might check something out at one point, and then when you try to check it out again, it's no longer in the collection. It's only happened to me once. I checked out a comic book, I didn't get around to reading it, and when I tried to get it back, it no longer showed up in my search results. I have the app installed on my iPad, so this is what that looks like. Since the app is used on smaller screens, the menu at the bottom is a more condensed menu. So the bottom says My Hoopla, Video, Music, Books, and Search. Video has the movies and the TV shows together, and then the books option has the audiobooks, the ebooks, and the comic books together. Because I'm always signed in on my iPad, when I open it up, it always takes me to what I currently have checked out. So that's why you're seeing the American Gods audiobook up at the top. And once I pick something from the bottom menu, especially if it's one of the condensed ones like video or books, I clicked on books. Once you do that, you'll get the other format options up at the top. So now up at the top it says audiobooks, ebooks, comics. I can filter my search down a little bit. It also says recommended, featured, and popular. So they're giving you a few different ways to try and browse for titles. But if you're looking for something specific, there is always the search option where you can type in a title or an author. I did decide to tap on one of these covers. So you tap on a cover, and then what happens is you go to a page which has a short summary of what the item is about. You've got a blue borrow button. Once I hit that borrow button, I have committed to this title. It uses up my checkout, and I can't get that checkout back. So don't hit borrow unless you're absolutely sure that's what you want to do. To the left of borrow, I have a little heart for favorite. If you tap on that, that adds the title to your favorites. I like to do that when I see something that I want to read, but I don't have time to read it right now, so I just add it to my favorites so I don't forget about it. Down the road, and you're seeing a little link that says share as well. That tends to pop up on some of our resources, and share never means that you're going to share the entire thing with someone. It's more, I'm posting to Facebook or I'm posting to Twitter that I am reading this title. No one has ever taken me up on the share option yet in all of the years that I've been doing this. And once you click on borrow, if you are in the app, you will see a little download option. If you are on a computer, you won't get the download option. Okay, moving on, unless someone has something they'd like to say about Hoopla or ask. No, okay, we will move on. I am now going to cover the sources that we've had for several years now. So I am betting that a lot of you are familiar with My Media Mall Overdrive. I use both terms because My Media Mall is the name of the website, but Overdrive is the company that provides our ebooks and they created the website. The app that is associated with this is also called Overdrive, so I tend to use them interchangeably. We've had this since about 2005 or so now. And Us My Place, sorry. A couple of months ago, as some of you have probably already noticed, Overdrive updated our website, so it looks very different from how it looked for several years. And they say they did this because they wanted to give the website a more streamlined look. They were also hoping to improve browsing of titles on the website. I have heard from some people that they are not too amused with how it all turned out, but hopefully today we'll get a little more comfortable with it. If it gives you trouble, please call the library and we can always walk you through it. So this is what the home page looks like now, and we have a couple of links at the top that are important to us. There is a subjects link and a collections link over on the right-hand side. and I'm going to start by clicking on subjects. When I do that, I pull up all of the subject terms that Overdrive assigns to all of their books. And they made the font very light gray, so it's a little hard to see, but all of the subject terms have numbers associated with them, so that will show you how many books fall under that subject term. Once you start browsing through this, you'll start to notice that the nonfiction subjects don't have very many books associated with them. And the reason for that is that My Media Mall is mainly a fiction collection, so they don't focus too much on nonfiction, although they're trying to be a little bit better about that. I've gone to this a few times. I don't really like browsing through the subjects, so I think it might be better to click on collections instead. And when I do that, this menu drops down, and we'll ignore the special collections for kids and teens, but they have ebooks, audiobooks, and videos. I should let you know that there aren't very many videos, only about 100, and the majority tend to be children's episodes of TV shows. But for ebooks and audiobooks, we do have a lot. They say that one complaint they got a lot of was that it was hard to find the lists of books that are available right now, because in My Media Mall you do have to place holds for titles. So in the top of the collections menu, they put available now right at the top of the list. They've given you a few other options, but something new is the try something different option. So what Overdrive is trying to do is highlight some books that we've had for many, many years that have fallen to the bottom of the piles, and that way patrons are discovering new to you titles. So I do like to go in this way a little bit better than looking through all of the subject terms. And then on the My Media Mall homepage, they're doing what they call featured collections. So they're posting a lot of featured collections. And on a previous screenshot up at the top, there was a New Year, New You collection, which they put together for all the resolutions that we make in the new year. But as I scroll down, there are lots of other lists as well. So here I caught a screenshot of a list that they called Read Across the Globe, which I believe is books by international authors. Down at the bottom, it says Cooking and Food, so that would be grouping all of our books that either are cookbooks or talk about food in some way. And if I click either on the heading or on, there's a little link off to the right that says See All, then I'll pull up the entire collection and I can browse through it. So what they're hoping to do with this is the featured collections are always going to change. They might leave it up for a couple of weeks, for a month, and then they start rotating them out. So I scroll down to our popular nonfiction featured collection, which they decided to call Fuel Your Mind. And that collection tends to show the ones where you have to place a hold first, and that can be very annoying. So I just want to make sure that everyone realizes the My Media Mall website has filters. On a computer, the filters are on the left-hand side. If you're looking at it on a phone or on a tablet with a small screen, the filters are actually at the top of the list. But in that filter, you can tell it to only show you titles that are available right now. A lot of the lists combine ebooks and audiobooks, so in the filter you can tell it, I only want to see the audiobooks, I don't want to see the ebooks. They'll also give you the subject terms. So this list has about 6,000 titles, which is a lot to browse through. I could go in and tell it that I only want to see the biographies, and then my list goes down to about 1,600, which is a little more manageable. And so this was just the screenshot. Once I hit available, all of my covers now say available, and I could check something out right this minute. And for those of you who are longtime My Media Mall users, and if you've been looking at the new site, you might have noticed that the little orange A symbol has disappeared. This orange A on the old site used to be the way we could pinpoint what was an Advantage title. And an Advantage title is where we, the Huntley Library, have bought our own copy so that you're not waiting through huge wait lists. Overdrive took it off the site because they said patrons found it very confusing. No one ever knew what that orange A was. Well, we trained all of our patrons as to what that orange A was, so we were very sad to see it go. But we're still buying Advantage titles, so if you place a hold and you end up seeing that you are number 700 on that list, which is possible because there are about 60 libraries in this consortium, don't lose hope. We know you have a hold on that book, and we buy more copies or we buy the title so that you don't have to wait through 700 people, because that would take a really long time. If you tend to check on your holds and you pay attention to the number, so it might say, well, your hold number 20, those numbers aren't accurate either because my media mall isn't factoring in that we're buying those Advantage titles. So I hope you're okay with that. I keep wishing it worked better, but it doesn't, so I'm just gonna have to let it go. All right. Okay, but now I will move on to Freegal. And Freegal is our music service for downloading, and for a couple of years it was just downloading and nothing else, but this past year we added a streaming option. Another thing to know about Freegal is that it is only Sony artists with a few independent artists thrown in, so you're not going to find all of the music that you would find physically in the library on CDs. Our download limit used to be 3 songs per week, but we did increase that to 5 songs per week now. And you can stream music for up to 3 hours per day. I have not yet managed to actually get to 3 hours in one day, but I'm working on it. I'll keep going. So I signed into Freegal on my computer first, and for Freegal, all you need is the library card number. It's not going to ask you to create an account or anything else. So I typed in my library card number, I'm signed in. On the computer version, it does keep track of how many downloads I have. So I hadn't downloaded anything. So in the upper right-hand corner, it says I still have 5 downloads remaining. It shows me how much streaming time I have left. So I only streamed 1 song. I still have the majority of my 3 hours up there. But what I wanted to point out is that when we enabled the streaming feature, that also made playlists pop up. So on the left-hand side, Freegal has a few options. There are Freegal playlists, and then there are my playlists. So Freegal has put together lists that you could choose, and then you just stream the entire list of music. They do swap these out. I'm not entirely certain what kind of schedule they're on. I think some of them they leave for a few months, some things they remove sooner than that. And then I have my playlist, so I could create my own playlist of streaming music. So I did do that. I only have a few lists, not too many. You can probably see a pattern emerging with the ukulele. I am really hopeful that I'm going to make progress. So I have a bunch of ukulele music that I can stream to motivate myself. I could create more lists if I wanted to. That's what the plus sign is for. If I click on the plus sign, a little window opens up. I type in the title of my playlist, I save it, and it'll be added to this list here. And then I started browsing for music. So when I browse for music, once I pull up an album or I pull up songs, I get the list of the songs, and over to the right of the song name, there's that little square with a plus sign. That is the button that will add the songs to your playlist. So I click the little plus sign, I'll get a little menu that opens up. It will show all of my playlists, and I just pick the one I want to add it to.
Question?
Yes.
Once you get it onto your playlist, does that playlist last indefinitely, or does it also get cut off after they take it out of their favorite, their pre-jump playlist?
Nope, your playlists stay. So they don't pull those out. It's just the Frigo playlist where they might take some of them out. And then I thought I would also show what it looks like in the app. So I have Frigo on my smartphone. And when I open it up, it takes me to a home screen where it gives me a preview of some things. The app does keep track of my downloads, but I should mention, if you're downloading in the app, you are downloading directly to it. So anything you download to the app does not automatically sync to your computer. So you may want to decide where you're going to do most of your downloading first, or where it would be more useful to you before you start downloading anything. There is a way to sync it, but that involves a little more jumping through hoops. So if anyone needs to do that, give us a call at the info desk and we'll see if we can figure it out. The app has the menu options on the bottom, which they're very light gray, so a little hard to see, but it says home, recent, playlists, browse, and more. So if I click on playlists, it shows me the Frigo playlist. It shows me any playlists I have created. So my playlists do sync from the computer to the app. That will sync, but the downloads do not. And they also let you do a download playlist. So if you get into the habit of just downloading directly to your phone, you're not concerned about the computer at all, then you can create playlists of all the music that you have downloaded to your Frigo app. And one last thing I'll point out, because they kind of hid this, is that if you just want to see all of the music that you've downloaded directly to your app, you have to click on More on the right-hand side at the bottom, and then once you do that, you click on My Music, and it will open up a list of every single thing you have downloaded. Any other questions about Frigo? No. So, moving right along. Now I'll move on to Mango, which is our online language learning system. They have over 70 languages to choose from. They also include English courses for foreign language speakers. If you use Mango on a computer, you're streaming the lessons, but there is an app with it, and when you download to the app, sorry, I said that wrong. If you use the app, you can download to it. So at that point, you no longer need the internet connection. And you could travel with it, go on a plane, go in the car, and be able to listen to your lessons. So new to Mango is that on a computer, you can watch videos in the foreign language that you're trying to learn. Those videos are not available in the app version. And you will need to create an account with an email address and password if you want to track your progress in the courses. But Mango does give you the option to try it as a guest. So if you're not certain if this is for you, give the guest option a try before you create that account. So this is what Mango looks like on a computer. They have the menu on the left-hand side, and they're just using symbols, they're not using words. So the square with the 9 squares in it is what takes you to all of the languages. And Mango takes you to popular languages first. But if you want to see all 72 of them, then you would click on all languages and it will give you a list. So I decided to pick French. And it takes me to some options. I can start the conversation. So that's what Mango Conversations is for. It's a long lesson and I can work my way through it. They also do what they call specialty courses. So up there we're seeing that French has wine and cheese and romance. So I could pick up special vocabulary in those topics. And there's also a link for Mango Premiere up there. That is where you see the videos. So in French, we have 2 videos currently, La Moustache and Around a Small Mountain. I was not expecting that title to be in English. And if I click on it, I captured a screenshot of the video once I had set it up, but Mango will ask you, do you want to see the subtitles or not? If you're really good at French, skip the subtitles and see how much you can understand. Before it opens the video, it will take you through the vocabulary that is being used so you know what to watch out for. And it will also give you cultural notes. So it provides information about what is going on in the movie that perhaps relates to the culture. These are screenshots that I took from the app just so you could see what that looks like. So the app will give you access to all 72 languages, but I decided to go in through the specialty courses, which are kind of the fun courses for picking up all sorts of strange stuff, or not so strange. Pirate is one of the specialty courses. Pirate is always really big on Talk Like a Pirate Day. But for my purposes, I decided to just do soccer in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. So once I clicked on it, it opened up the screen on the right, and when I tap on one of those lessons, it does download to my phone. I could choose to download everything, but I make very slow progress in language lessons, so I only did the first one. Once it downloads and I open it up, on the left, Mango will show you the words in English and in the language, and you have a little narrator who talks you through it, plus the native speaker will say the words in Portuguese. And they color code. So I'm not sure that you can see it too well, but they're color coding the words so you can tell which word in Portuguese corresponds to the word in English. And then we've got two more things up there to take note of. The little green symbol with the volume symbol doesn't actually increase your volume. It's to have the native speaker pronounce again what the words are so that you get it down. And then they've got a microphone, and I find this kind of fun too. On a smartphone, all of them have microphones, so you don't have to do anything special, but on a computer, you would need to plug in a microphone. When you tap the microphone, it records you, so you get to speak your Portuguese and have it record you, and then what Mango does is it matches up your pronunciation to the native speaker's pronunciation. And I like to do this in Spanish because my parents are native Spanish speakers, so I grew up speaking it. My pronunciation doesn't even come close to the native Spanish speaker. My mother would be so disappointed. And then lastly, for Mango, you have some settings. So I clicked on the little gear on the right. The setting I wanted to point out is that you can set it to autoplay. So once you do that, you no longer have to tap on the screen to get it to move forward in the course. Mango just has the narrator keep talking, has the speakers keep pronouncing the words. So if you're in a car and you can't look at the screen, you could just have your phone plugged in and take you through the lesson, or if you're at the house doing something else, you could just have it keep going through the lesson automatically. Okay, we're in the home stretch now, last one. So I thought I'd cover Zinio for libraries, which is our online magazine collection, and we have access to over 80 titles. When you check these magazines out, they never expire, so you can keep them as long as you need to. It's not like the ebooks or the audiobooks that just return themselves automatically. You can read on a computer in the browser. If you do that, you are streaming the magazine, so if you lose the internet connection, you can't open it up anymore. But if you want to download the titles for offline reading, you do have to use the Zinio for Libraries app on a mobile device. A couple of new things for Zinio. They recently put in an article search feature, and they're going to release a new app. The new app was supposed to be released already, but then they pushed it back. So they claim February probably, but I can't guarantee that. I had been hoping to be able to give you a preview of it, but I can't. So instead, I will focus on article search, which you might find helpful, maybe not. Article search only appears on our library page when you are logged in and on a computer, so it doesn't work in the app. And when I click on article search, it opens this screen up. So I have a search box at the top where I type in my word, and I have filters on the left-hand side. And they have a date range, but they've told us that so far the article searching only goes back to about October, November of 2016. So it's not covering very far just yet, and I'm hoping they will fix that and have it go farther back, but we'll work with what we've got. There's also a publication filter, and that could be useful if you're going to search for a word that is pretty broad. So I decided to search for sweater because I thought I want to pull up a knitting pattern. Sweater could appear in a lot of places, so I did narrow it down to our knitting magazine. So I picked interweave knits on the left-hand side. And once I do that, I got a little ahead of myself, but it did the search, and the first one did look like the sort of article that could have a knitting pattern. So I clicked on it, the Donegal sweater, and it opens up a little preview window. In the preview window, you can scroll down, so you can take a look, see is this really what you were thinking of when you were doing the search. And in this case it was, so I can click on the blue button for read full issue. Take note of the page number though, because what I found is when you click on read full issue, it takes you to the cover and then you have to go find the article. I'm hoping they might fix that because it'd be nice if it would take you directly to the article. So I found the article myself. There it is. And one last feature I'll point out is that in the browser, you can print from the magazine. So I have a little print icon in the lower left-hand corner. It's possible that not all of the magazines have it because Zinio probably has to work out some arrangement with the magazine publisher, but I tried a few and they did all have it, so I was able to print out my knitting pattern. And one last thing I'll mention is that one of the things we really love about our digital resources is that it has allowed us to expand what we can offer to our low vision patrons. Because as I'm sure everybody knows, the Huntley Library is physically a small library. So on site, compared to some of the bigger libraries in the area, we have a pretty small collection of the large print books. We have a small collection of audiobooks and playaways. And while we are part of a group of 20 or so libraries and we can bring stuff in from them, it's nice to be able to offer access to resources where you can check something out right away without having to wait for us to bring it in from somewhere else. And with Zinio, now you can check out magazines, and in the browser, you can get that text pretty big. A couple of things our patrons might not know about is that we provide access to descriptive DVDs. So these are DVDs where you have a narrative track going while the DVD plays. And we have about 700 of them in our collection, but out in our group, there are a lot more, so we could always bring them in. And I also wanted to mention the Illinois Talking Book Center. We don't handle this directly. You have to fill out an application with them, but they provide players and cartridges that go into the players, and that way they can provide access to a lot of audiobooks. But they've also started something maybe in the last year or two called BARD, which stands for Braille and Audio Reading Download. And you can download digital audio and Braille books to a computer and then transfer it over to one of their cartridges. Or they did also create a BARD app that you could use on iOS or Android, and that will let you download the audio. And there's something else you have to do to get the Braille. I didn't quite understand it because I've never seen one of these Braille readers, but they did say it was possible to do that through the mobile app as well. So that's it for me. If you run into trouble down the road, if you have questions, please call the information desk. We want you to be able to use our resources, so we will help you out. Many of you probably know that my colleague Rob Abeng and I spend a lot of time walking patrons through these things. We do offer one-to-one appointments if something is giving you a lot of trouble, or if you just need help getting started and help with the setup. So please give us a call and we will help you out.
Pam, when you finish your ukulele class, will you come back and play for us?
Yes, in about 5 years.
Yeah, Pam? Yeah, Pam? Pam, thanks for taking my call. Where have I heard that before?
Yes. Yes.
I have no problem getting on lynda.com for a video. I start the video and it could be maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes long, depending upon what I pick. And all of a sudden it stops and restarts again. What's my problem?
Oh, you stumped me there. Huh. Well, I wonder the speed of your internet connection. I think I heard someone say buffering. At the library, which is where I tend to use it, it doesn't really stop like that, but we have a very fast connection. But at home, I have a much slower connection, and I run into that sort of problem with other videos, so I wonder if it could be that.
Okay, I'll maybe get a hold of Fox Valley and upgrade it. Is that the idea?
I think so, unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am.
I was wondering if, does the library offer online, or not online, training sessions at the library on any of the subjects?
Yes, we do. We don't do group classes because we found it very hard to try to devote enough attention to everybody in a group class.
So it's one-on-one.
But right, it's the one-on-one. So just give us a call. You're looking for Rob or Pam.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we should enjoy it. We want to remind everybody, go to the library and see what it is to take. I would just like to thank you all and remind you that next month we'll have a discussion on our new website, so be sure you're here. We'll talk, don't have a discussion with the people from that have written the program, so we should get some insight on how it's going to work. Thank you. See you next month.